Hey, top of the morning to you. It is October something, 2024. Did you see the date on that little demo I rolled? Painted that in 2020. And that's the year that I went live right here and started streaming every morning. I'd gone live every now and then back through the last few years when I was painting at my art bar downstairs. Decided to come up here in my office slash now studio, now messy floor. Yeah, this whole art thing is going to cause me to have this floor redone, or just uh, yeah, who knows what I'm going to have to do. So anyway, great to have you on the show this morning. I'm going to just take it as it comes. My mind has been preoccupied with a little bit. We're 2 hours away from, well, an hour and a half away from some of the worst part in North Carolina, Western North Carolina, where the storm hit. But we have many dear friends in the Weaverville, Black Mountain, Asheville, uh, um, Hendersonville area, and so those areas just took an amazing blow. And and reminding you that also that don't forget to think and pray and help the people who are in Florida. They got pounded too. And even up through Atlanta, I saw flooding. But this area, no one expected the French Broad River to reach 23, maybe 24 feet above its banks and just wipe out roads and cities. And, the Bat Cave area that I just came through a few weeks ago is just where the road was is now a riverbed. And, they built right on the river and this great little meandering mountain river that came down through there. And it all came loose and washed away. And Lake Lure, which we've played in, and I even shot a commercial there back in the 80s, years ago, Super Bowl commercial, believe it or not, for Mountain Dew, long time ago. You can almost walk across Lake Lure just on lumber, and so it's amazing. And but more than all that, more than the loss of property, is that the counting of lives is just going to continue. So it's probably been a long time since the storm has taken as many people out and ended their life and families in trauma. And my heart and prayers, some guys that I work with are taking some things over. A lot of the pilots here in Charlotte around NASCAR have been helping tremendously. Finally, I think some of the government officials who were saying we can't bring anyone in, we can't rescue anybody, we can't even find them all. And some private pilots have been doing an amazing job of shuttling in supplies and even shuttling out, rescuing some people. And so no running water, no electricity, no internet. There's a few Starlinks around. And Elon Musk did a great thing just recently. He built these Starlink things that you can connect with different satellites, and he removed any price on doing that in these trauma areas. If you can get one in there, you can notify your family, and it's a free thing. It's pretty remarkable, actually. So good morning to you. Didn't mean to start off on that note, but that note's been on our heads a little bit. My granddaughter was in Boone. She made it home here, stayed here a week, and with her family and our family. And once you leave home, your siblings take up your bed space and move it out and go, hey, snooze you lose. And so, but it's been great. And so we ran a bed and breakfast with some friends and people who came through, and so it's been exciting. I'm still painting and whittling, and I'm glad you're on the show today. I painted this painting in 2019, the one you're looking at right now. Boom. This little painting was done in just pen and ink when I first started finding my way in 2018-19 to Pentel Intergel needle tip. And I think you know my story on this. I go to an office supply store and they say, can we help you? And I say, no, thanks. I just want to piddle a little bit. And that scares them, first of all, because they're going like, what's this big old, tall, blockhead, long-haired dude walking around? And I actually, the first time I ever did this, I think I had just come from a meeting and I had on a linen jacket that had a pocket square. And so they're going like, oh, yes, sir, can we help you? And I go, just need to look at some pens. And so I went back and I found some of these pens. If you haven't done this yet, you should do it. And when you're looking for a new pen, okay, just not to pester the salespeople, but most of them don't understand writing implements. They're just there for point of sale, and that's not a bad thing. God bless them for working. Okay, the younger generation. But it's like when you used to go to hardware and you could ask Dave at Renfro Hardware in Matthews where I can find a da 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 da, and he goes, "Oh, come with me," and he'll say this, and if you're going to use that with this, you'll probably need this type. And he almost gets involved in my project, and it's so fantastic. Now, if you go to a big box store, um, people get out of your way, even if they're working there, because they don't know how to answer your question. And I did make a mistake one time of wearing an orange shirt that's Home Depot orange, and it had a little design here on it, but it on the back it was, and I never wear t-shirts out anywhere. I don't even wear t-shirts, but I'd come out of the shop and I had it on. It was my son's t-shirt, and he got it from Home Depot because he worked for them a season when he got out of college in their landscape department. He was an ornamental horticultural landscape design major before he went into video production. And so he was running the forklift, and he had a little forklift here logo on it, but it went in, and people, I went there one day, and before I got out of the store, this is the honest truth, 4 times I helped people find something. Once was reach something. Another time was sort of recreate something that this young man thought he was looking for and didn't know how to put it together. And I said, look, why don't you just take this? And so my point is, and I helped, and they're going like, this guy comes by and he goes, y'all need some help? And he goes, no, he's just told me how to change this, and I need to buy this and this and this. And so I told Carol I got home, and she said, man, it took a long time. And I said, well, I think I was working for Home Depot today for about an hour because I helped all these people put something together. That's just the way my brain's wired. And that's also what we're seeing in this storm in Western North Carolina. We're seeing people come in who really know how to do things. One of my favorite stories, just on a lighter end of this, is getting rescue supplies to people, is mules. There's a mule team and a mule train that's just been fantastic. They've come in and they are taking the lead horse and a rider, and they'll put coolers on the side of the mule, strap them down. We're talking 100 years. And by the way, one of the biggest storms to hit that area, right where the Biltmore Village is, the great Biltmore Mansion, which is fine, by the way, because it's way up on a hill. You have to go miles back in there. But the gatehouse, I think water was up 12 or 15 feet on the gatehouse and all their gift shops in that area. Just unbelievable. But there was a sign there that said, in 1916, a devastating flood swept through this area and killed 4 people. And it's a historical marker. And by the way, the photo that I received, the marker was gone, and the building across the street had water piled up on it and debris piled up on it, almost roof level. And it was just a fascinating thing to think, wow, we haven't seen a storm like this since 1916. So, but I'm in Home Depot, but I wore and I help people just because I happen to have on an orange shirt. And so this day I've got on a blue linen jacket, which is from my old Florida days, and I always say, men, women have so many things that they can accessorize with. Usually I wear a blue watch. I'm back to my Swiss Army watch today because I've been whittling with my Swiss Army knife. Yeah, I'm matching, and so I didn't think of that until right now, but. So the point is this, is that I'm in there and I'm looking for a pen. And so I go and I find these pens and I think, wonder what a needle points. I think this is probably 17 or 8. It could have been 2018. And I'm going like, wonder what the needle point means other than the ballpoint, because I really don't like ballpoint pens. And what's the needle point and what is gel ink like? And so long story really shortened is that I told the guy, I said, hey, can I open one of these? And he goes, well, not really. And I said, so how do I know I want to buy it? I said, so I'm going to make your life easy or I'm going to make it complicated. He said, what do you mean? So I said, I'll go buy this pack and I'm going to not even leave the store. I'm going to open up my little watercolor paper here and my little, Buffalo Jackson leather wallet that I carry small pieces in. And I'm going to sketch on something. Then I'm going to take my little water brush and I'm going to see if it does what I want it to do. And if it doesn't, I'm going to ask you to refund me the money right there. Then you're going to have this open pack. So you could put out some demos and you could put out some paper. Now, some office supply stores will put a piece there. Of course, people write all kinds of silly notes and things and waste the pen and probably steal the pens. And I know that's what they're worried about. So he said, well, I don't know if you can do that. And I said, you mean I can't return the pen if I don't like it? And he said, well, I don't know what our policy is. And I said, your policy needs to change because I'm an artist and I need a bunch of these pens, but I don't want to buy pens that I can't use. What a waste is that for me? And I'm not going to send anybody else to your store. And he goes, I said, why don't you go get a manager? And he says, no, just open the package. And I said, thank you. So I opened the package and I wrote with it. And I said, you just sold 2 packs. And so now I do that in most places where I go test a pen. Not being a wise guy or smart aleck, but just saying, I can buy these and I can take them outside and return them and say, this pen doesn't do what I wanted it to do. And you told me it was a good ink. You told me it wouldn't. See, here's the thing. They say, oh, no, it's archival. You write with this and it won't. No, it's not. It bleeds, and that's what I wanted. So they were selling me a pen that I didn't even want to do something that I didn't want it to do. Do you see the difference? So I want you to be a little bold in your art world when you go out there, but don't be a wise guy. Just be helpful and say, the reason I recommend this pen to others is because of this, and here's the style that I use it with. And they go, oh my goodness. Okay, so that's kind of how that works. Let me say hello to you. I got off on a tangent. I know it's hard for you to believe, right? Who in the world would get off on a tangent like that? Not me. All right, thanks for being on the show this morning. Boom, here we go. Linda Schleitning from beautiful Ohio, thanks for being on. Miss Carla says, can't wait to see what you've planned. Me either, Miss Carla, I love that. Good morning, friends, from Renee Keese, June Jones, Northwest Florida. Skip Yentz, Rule 53, you're on the road today. Elaine Barnett, good morning from rainy Florida. There's a good morning Florida and a rainy Florida. Jean Anthalzer and Kay Marie Pikert. Jennifer Yentz, morning to you. Glad you're on the shows. Lori Stanley Meyer, Handel Henderson. Glad you're on. It's the morning you announce you're drawing 2,000 ducks. So, Miss Carla, if you need to go make another pot of coffee just to settle your nerves, I'm going to tell you this. That ain't happening. But I'm in the 1850s for bees, and I'm nearing that shore of 1850 something, and I'll show you some of those bees in a minute that are getting up to that count. I don't know what 1857 is going to look like, but it's coming out, and then I'm going to race to the end. Still got 50 something bees to go. Whew. Man, this is a project, but I'm learning a lot about me and discipline. Sue Kane is on the show. Did I hear that? Morning, Denise Albright, Karen Binder, Deborah Spangler. Thank you all for being on. Paula Lindy, welcome. There's Sue. I'm joining from, oh man. Sue Kane says, I'm joining you from a hospital bed having had knee replacement surgery. Holy smokes, my dear friend. You've been carrying around too many coffee cups. And if there ever was a group of people who need to send a bouquet or a flower, it's going to take it a long time to get there, but I'll tell you this. Knee surgery today is not what it used to be, according to my friends who've had it. I limp around some, but I haven't had it. But the recouping time is tough, but it's faster than it used to be, so we'll pray for the speed on that. So, wow, I saw that note here. June Jones, Libby sent us a note from the gardener's cottage, and they didn't get buried. They're up a little bit where the hill, there's a low part of Biltmore Village in Asheville, and then the Biltmore highway starts to run uphill a little bit, and so that water was flattening out even at 23 feet where it comes up from. So they got some water. Their front porch steps were, I think, wiped out. There's a lot of stuff in the back, but there's this massive granite wall that's behind her, like an old stone quarry. And I think it was from Grovestone or some of the Biltmore stonework that they did. And it's really remarkable. In fact, you walk back there and you think you've gone into a whole other world. I felt like I was in Narnia the first time I went back there. It took some abuse and some tree limbs are down, and so it'll be a while, but their team's all safe. A lot of people in that city got out. Where people didn't get out was in little towns like Swannanoa, where the Swannanoa Bridge washed out, and I think a water reservoir didn't break, but no one's really sure right now until it's assessed, but some of those people had to be rescued. I don't know if a lot of the Swannanoa people got out. There's a little town, there's a company used to be there, and it's called Beacon Village. Beacon Blankets was made there. As a matter of fact, I did a commercial with Beacon Blankets in the early 80s. I had to hang a guy from a helicopter. And so on a Beacon blanket, I had him on a harness and all, but it was a remarkable thing. And so there was a whole knitting company there. The little village and where all those people worked at the time is the some of the houses are gone. Some of them were just the rooftops of the roof showing, and people climbed up and out and got on their roofs. And sometimes they would just wait and get out and hold on and climb on the roof. As I heard a report yesterday, it was just scary. So anyway, so thinking about those folks there. Virginia got pounded a little bit. Bob, thank you for being on. Morning from Chris, Upper Minnesota. And Lydia Cook Van Lindenham, thank you for being on. All right, Maggie Carnahan. All right. I've seen the mule trains. It's awesome. And Denise sent me a note that she has a friend who is a pilot, and he's in Sevierville, which is right in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, not far from Dollywood. And in fact, I know of the place. I saw a note yesterday from her name is Wagner. She's an actress. She grew up in Tennessee. You've probably seen her in some little movies around. Anyway, she's been dropping off her supplies there because those helicopters have been being used. And so that's fascinating that you connected me with the helicopter, but that guy's already being used. All right, so the ink guy himself, Jason, is on the show this morning. Andy McBean's on the show. And let's move ahead here. Fern Skelly, I hope you got your painting. Terry Tardy, good to have you on the show. Hope you're throwing pots and not at your husband, but you know what I mean when I say that. And Denise just had a painting class. I want to say that too. Some of you all, I know Jacqueline Browse and up in Paul Bunyan country is having art classes. I have one. You could be thinking of me on Monday. I'm volunteering to teach moms and 10 moms and their children on a little homeschool group that I'm meeting. And we'll see how that comes out. They saw me at a coffee shop one day and I was painting, and this lady came over and she said, "Oh, you did the piece of art for so-and-so, and we come in here and look at your art on this wall. It's the only place where I have my art hanging." And so that prompted a time that said, "Would you come and help us?" And I went, "Come on, let's do it." And so I've picked up a few inexpensive but decent brushes, and I've got some paint laid out, and we're going to go and just do about an hour and a half, a little venture with some kids and inspire them a little bit, hopefully. So that's coming. All right. The River District was massively affected. In fact, my friend Carol Bowman, we have like 6 of her pieces of art here. The water did not reach her art, but it got up the stairs on the second floor to the second floor. But I don't know if those buildings will make it. Some of those buildings, the glass blowing, one of the glass places, and I mean, a lot of those buildings are just gone. They're just not even there. And cars are rolled up like wads of paper. So I'm going to stop talking about it because did somebody say Narnia? I did. Yeah, the back of the garden cottage, Chip. You'll have to go there. It looks like some place you would see in Narnia with these cobblestones stacked on top of each other. Well, it used to. And the vines and the ferns, and it's just phenomenal. But Libby sent a note. I sent her a text early in the week, and I got a response back. And so Libby runs Gardner's Cottage. That's where I used to get all the little birds from. So, all right, here we go. And so you, perfect. All right. What I want to do this morning is just I want to show you that I wanted to ask you this first. I thought of this last night as I was going to bed. Something put a song on my brain. You know how that happens. And so I started thinking, one time I was doing a little concert at this small college in South Carolina. And I would travel as a singer, songwriter, storyteller. And Jerry, my friend, and I were there. And he was a piano player. And he'd come out and do some stuff. I'd come out and do some stuff. We'd do some stuff together. And just have fun. And I was playing, and somebody yells out from the audience. This was in the mid-'70s, I guess. And somebody said, "Hey, do a John Denver song." And I went, "Well, John who?" And they went, "Come on, John Denver." And I went, "Does John Denver do any of my songs when he's out on concert?" And they went, "No." And I said, "Well, then why should I play any of his?" And so the line was not to be a smart aleck, but a humor line. And they got it. But it also made a little sense to me. And as I was going to bed last night, I had pulled off the sheet of underlayment here. Here it comes right here. And I came back in and I wrote it down right here on this. And I says, did John Denver sing any of your songs? And I thought, wow, I've spent a few years traveling around the Southeast trying to figure out what my voice was and who I am and what my style is. So I've done this before in another realm of medium, and that was music medium and storytelling. And so when I would do storytelling teaching classes, and which I did for a while, I even did several at Disney, they would come and have these outlier. They wouldn't do them on the property of Disney. They would do them in different places, but they would all kind of bill it, put it together. You don't want to do storytellers like they already have. You want people to develop their own style and who they are. And so that made me think again that I haven't talked about that in a while, but it's finding your own visual voice. And that's really the word for it. You're going to see other people use that, and lots of people use it. It's like that style. So it's like, I don't want to just go sing John Denver songs and travel around and try to be John. They'll go, he's never as good as John Denver. I wanted to be who I was. That sounds a little prideful and arrogant, but it's also it's also very original. So try to be who you are. So if you're still, and this is not too, I don't know your styles and I haven't seen a lot of your work. I've seen some of it because some of you post it. And if you're trying to be you, that's what you're supposed to be. The world didn't need at that time, and even then, another John Denver song. So I did write a song that was called, John Denver wrote the Annie song. And so just for fun, I wrote a humor song called The Other Annie Song, which was about a guy who lived in the mountains where I lived, and he comes to the town, and they give him a CPR course test, and he falls in love with back then they called Annie the dummy. It was a little short plastic thing, and so he falls in love with Annie and tries to steal her and take it home. It was called The Other Annie Song, and I actually put it on an album. He gets arrested in the end and hauled off to jail. And they said, they'd speak to Annie, they say, leave her alone. You're missing your body, but he's missing his mind. And that was the tagline. And so I still feel that way. Sometimes people go, that guy must be missing his mind. Yes, I am. And I love it. So it became part of my jest to do that. And so here's what I'm saying to you today. If you're still struggling to find your style, then maybe your research is limited. Maybe your community is limited. And maybe you need to change direction, pace, and style for just a little bit, maybe even tools. So to go in a little bit of a different direction. I'm painting more little sketchy, and they're sketchy, people right now than I ever had. Why? Well, some of you know I've been painting through the Gospels, and right now I'm in a study that's called Discovering Jesus, but it's about 40 people in a room, and I'm kind of helping the leader lead it, me and a couple other folks. I don't say much except I told a story last week, but I am painting something in there. And I realized this different journal than the ones that I've been using on my Good News Roo class, is the paper's even thinner. And so I couldn't use the regular pens that I've been using. So it prompted me to think, I need a pen that doesn't run as well, it's more archival. And I went back, and of course I dug in my closet and I got out any microns that I had. And I found that I've been doing it with these microns, but then even over that, I've been touching a little watercolor. And I might show you one later near the end of the show that I've just done. And I found a little bag that I carry, like one of a smaller version, because I need it to fit somewhere else. And I just went ahead and put a handful of those microns out there, and there's some colors in them. And so that's kind of what I'm using right now, just to start my little sketch. And it's been pretty awesome to do that. And so you never know what you're going to find when you reach down in this bag. There's a Leatherman in here. There's a clothespin. There's a, what's that? Oh my gosh. Look at that. I thought I was out of those things. I made this big spiel that I thought I'd painted my last rooster for a while. It might be green enough to paint another little roof. So I'll have to check that today. So yeah, it's getting pretty hard, but I think I can do it. Oh yeah, it's got a little life in it. Okay, when this gets too hard, you might as well just have a chainsaw. All right, so I think I can paint a little, whittle a little rooster out of that. You see, that's what the limb looks like when I start to whittle the little the little whittled roos. Here's where his head's going to be. This will be his tail, and I'll have to get rid of this lump right here, and this will be his belly. I'll carve out right there. Using, I lost my whittling knife, so I had to order another Swiss Army knife. I found 2 used ones for like $20 for 2. I'm all over it, and then I regrind the blade and resharpen it. Someday I'll show you how I sharpen them. I don't use stones anymore. I use wet or dry sandpaper. All right, let's paint something. So that prompts me to paint stuff like this. I paint all the time. I change directions, and it's good for me. So find your voice by doing that. How's your community? Are there people that you hang out with, that you sit with, people that challenge you, people that are truthful to you? Always be looking at that. All right, here we go. And it's probably not going to be a duck. All right, this is Kilimanjaro, 140-pound, bright white, 100% cotton. This is an 05. There's probably an 07 sitting around here somewhere. There's an 07 right there, I think. Yes, just a little thicker, and we'll go from there, all right? Your whittle roos are off the bark. Jacqueline Browse, there you are. Jacqueline, I was just talking about you. You're doing some classes. Denise just did a class. It's fantastic. All right. Big art show morning for James Wade. He's out selling some of his art today, and it's fantastic. Love it. And you said the brushes from art. Yeah, those little brushes are perfect for children's brushes. And I told you about them because they're so inexpensive. In fact, last week it was 2 for 1, and you just say, hey, the kids are going to just crush them anyway, so I can pay $1.80 for a brush that doesn't have it doesn't look like this. It comes to a good point, so they are perfect. All right, here we go. This is a 5. This is a 7, and I'm going to paint another one of these today just because I feel like it, and it's loose. It's way to go. Put a little music on. I love the concept of just the whole think like an artist thing. So I'm just going to start with that little beak up there like that, and then just do this waddle coming down. And then I'm just barely going to put a little bit of a start of his comb here because that's going to be where I really rock this guy with some purple. And I like purple up there because you just don't think of a rooster's head being purple. And then I think that's all I'm going to do. I think that I may have put a couple more of these down here just like this to let this roll just a little bit. Put a little piece of an ear right there. You didn't know a rooster's had ears. Of course they do. And I'm going to put a little of that in there. Maybe a little feather coming out here. And I think that's going to be my Think Like a Rooster roo. And a little music. And then I think I'm ready to paint this guy. Here we go. Cheap Joe's Art Stuff. I did get an email from Megan who said, or a text from Megan who said, their staff in Asheville is okay. I think the building got ramshackled pretty well. I don't even know the whole story on it yet. So I'm going to hold out on that just until I hear. But staff is fine, and they're back open. It's just that a lot of people are not moving in Boone, and it's cash only right now. There's no cash registers working. There's people can't get gas in town. It's a tough place right now to be. I'm going to start at the top of this route. No, I'm not. I'm going to come back to it. How about that? I'm going to use a number 4, Miller's Pseudo Sable, a little clean water, and come in right here and just start in a place I normally don't start, and that's right on the beak. I just want a little yellow here, and I'm just going to not paint, but just drop this brush in just like so. A little dramatic, isn't it? They're using for painting a rooster like this. I need something that's got some a little bit of what's avocado junkie. We'll get a bigger brush. In fact, I'm going to reach for maybe something the size of an 8. Look at that. This looks like a 10. It is a 10. I have an 8. I love an 8 if I have one. Oh, yeah, there's an 8 right there. It's a big brush. Let's just go in and get a little bit of this purple coming out right here. And I'm going to come and get a little bit of this blue. Don't be afraid to just take off on some things, especially if you've got a little bit of an outline of kind of where you're going to go. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this head of this rooster come out just a little bit more. He needs a little more neck in there to hold up this big old part of head. I put that yellow in there to give you a little orange in this piece right through the center. Don't you love that? You know what's missing? Some good old Terry Tardy turquoise, and she's on the show today. Ah, look at you, Terry. I hope you're still throwing some of that to pots, little pinch pots with terracotta, with that turquoise on them. And I see Brian sometimes at Cheap Joe's, and I'll always say, man, this, I know Andrews did this, but I think I want to add, I think I want my own color someday, and I want Terry Tardy turquoise in the pot, so it's going to happen there. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a little bit of just some purple, and I'm going to punch it right in here just like this with a lot of water in it. Just throwing a lot of water on this piece of paper and letting it come out just like so. Now I'm going to take, and I'm going to reach in here, and I'm going to change brushes on it. Just a little bit. And I'm going to go for a, and I don't think I have enough brushes. Let's see. Oh, there's a brush right there. Look at this. This is a number 3 rigger. I think that I have a number 2 rigger. That's a 4. I'm looking for a number 2 rigger. Maybe this is it right here. That's a 5. Ah, wait. What does this look like? That's a 4. What the heck? Well, looks like I'm gonna have to use this. It's hiding in there somewhere, or I've carried it down to the art bar. All right, which I normally do sometimes. Here we go. This is a 1. I'll take the 1 first and really lighten it up. Okay, I'm going to take this number 3 rigger brush. If you don't know what a rigger brush is, once again, it's a brush that has a lot more bristle on the front end than some, and it's a thinner brush. You see that? Those ferrules are the same right there. And look, I've got another 1/4 of an inch of, and it's a thin brush, so it's kind of fun to do. And I'm going to take this here, and I'm just going to drag it out like this. And I literally am barely touching this. I'm using, remember I told you I put extra water in here? I just added some more. I'm adding some purple right in here and a little wet brush. And I'm just going to grab that and just pull it out like this. Look, and that's how I'm going to do the head of this root. And I'm going to thicken it up as I see it needs fit. And I'm probably not even going to go to my thinner brush. I like this one, just the way it's pulling out like this. And so if you're ever doing some iris or some flowers of some sort that need some sort of a long pistil, this is where this brush, if you're painting sailboats and you need some rigging, this is what this brush was designed for. It was designed to give you, maybe that's why it's called a rigger, huh? Somebody designed it and said, hey, all these sailboats painted, we need a rigger brush. And take a look at this. You can just drag it down like this in one fell swoop, and you can come in like this, and you can let it go. So you start to see these great little lines that you can bring in with this brush. This is nylon. It's interlock nylon. This, of course, is American Journey brush from Joe. I'm sure other companies have them, but I don't know, and I don't review brushes for other companies because I've just been so locked in all these years on doing what I love to do for Cheap Joe's and using their supplies. I started with it when I first found Boone. The first time I went to Boone was when we decided to go up and see if our son wanted to go to college there in Appalachian State. And someone said there's an art store over the way. They moved. They used to be downtown, and they moved in an industrial park, which is about 2 miles out of town. All right. So there's a great little think like an artist deal. And then I'm going to throw a little more, just some, the kitchen sink at it here. I'm going to take some buff titanium and swing this down, and maybe a little touch right in there. You know, I love coming in with a brush like this and just a spot of water. So here's what I mean by a spot of water. Let me show you how I'm going to do this with orange. I'm going to grab some orange, and I'm going to grab a brush. I put some paint in my brush. You saw me do it right here. Look, I just laid it in there and just roll it around a little bit. Don't jam it in. Just kind of roll it in there if you can. Add a little more water to it and just come right in here and drop a spot right there. And now touch it again with the paint and just drop it right there. And then I just let it go. And here's what happens. Because this cotton is holding this water, now you're getting all these tributaries. Uh, and they're running in there. It's pretty cool, actually. I'm going to do the same thing with a little more orange right up here. It just gives me a little bit more of what I call this mushroom line or this break. It's a stain area that I like in watercolor. Some people don't like it, and they like to cut their corners really clean. And I just kind of like the fact that it looks so real and muddled. And I love what's happening here, too. You might can see it at the end of my brush. Let me find a brush that doesn't have white on it. This brush right here has silver on it, but look right at the end of the brush. You see that little silver white spot there? It's where I touched down some of that buff titanium, and it's beginning to chase the water. Why is it moving uphill? Well, it's because this piece of paper is buckling like this. And then, so it's really running downhill here. And so I love this so much when it happens. I don't know. It's just the thing about watercolor that excites the stew out of me because I feel like I'm creating something new every time. I'm going to grab a little purple and just come right in here and do the same thing I did with the orange. I'm just touching my brush and letting it fan out. And I'm resisting the temptation to overbrush this. Except I do want to put a couple little squiggles out here just like so. And then I'm going to grab maybe a number 4 or number 6 brush right here. And I'm going to go in for a little bit of ultramarine blue. And if I had a pencil, I'd be dangerous. Here's one right here. And I'm just going to go in and do some splatters right in and around just like this. Boom. I think I might do a little bit of, sometimes I love a little bit of yellow splatter out there. I don't know if it represents sunshine or spilled honey or something, but I kind of like it. And that does that makes a great little part of this painting. I'm going to do the same thing with purple right here that I did there, because here's why. Some of this paper. Now I'm going to show you how to stop some of that run, okay? So I'm going to put this here because I want a little more beef and color in this. All right, now I'm going to reach over here and get one of my little anchor weights. Here's one right here, being an anvil, and I'm going to set that anvil right here. See if I can find a place to put it. I might just put it upside down right there. There we go. So what I did was I just dropped that little anvil in there, not touching any of the paint, but now it's stopped. It stopped the downhill slide. It's brought the paper back out level. So here's the thing about watercolor paper. If you use as much water as I do, it's going to get the buckles. It'll always frame flat. It'll come back to its surface. It's the sizing. It's the weave of the paper. And I use that word on purpose, especially if you're dealing with cotton paper. It's been processed. Excuse me. I'm talking faster than my voice can talk. So, all right. So I want to challenge you to push yourself this fall. I'm always talking seasonally here. You know, you've been running through summer. You've had busy things to do. You maybe changed directions a little bit. You may have found something else you'd like to do art with. That's fantastic if you have. I still have major projects going, but I also have to earn a living. And so I have major projects earning a living. But I paint stuff all the time. Yesterday morning, while this dries for just a second, my grandson was here and he wanted a pancake. And I said, "You want a Mickey Mouse?" He said, "I want a Mickey Mouse pancake." And I said, "No, I did that last time you were here. What am I going to do today?" And he goes, "How about the Statue of Liberty?" And I said, "I'd love to do the Statue of Liberty, but not the whole statue because my skillet's not that big. So what if I had a griddle laying there? What if I just do her arm and the torch?" And he goes, "Okay." So I did that, and then it was time to read a book. It turned out pretty well. I didn't photograph it, but I even did the little basket weave with some Hershey's chocolate. Just drizzled it on there. And I'm sure it tasted terrible. I didn't eat any of it, but it was a good pancake, but chocolate on my pancakes. So I had a little ricotta cheese and some rich vanilla, and so, okay, they weren't bad. But my point is this, is that afterwards he brought a book over for me to read, and it was the addendum book added to Beatrix Potter. It was about Peter Rabbit. It's where Peter Rabbit gets caught in a basket and hauled off, and he wakes up after he's eaten all these sandwiches. He gets bumped out of the basket on this little jaunty trail, and a big rabbit finds him who has a kilt and a skiing do in his sock, and he takes him home. They feed him, and then tomorrow's the day of the big games. And he sneaks off again. He goes and eats this giant radish. I don't know if you've seen the book, but it's great. And he starts at the end and he eats himself into the radish, and then he eats the insides out of the radish. And then so when they find him, he's asleep outside the radish, just like he's overeaten. And so they take him and the radish home, thinking, "Oh, that's great." Well, in the competition, the big bunny throws a radish. And so they tell Peter that he needs to compete. And so they say, "Throw the big radish, throw the big radish." And so he says, and they're all saying, he can't even pick it up. I'll have to help him. Well, because he'd eaten the insides out, he picks up the radish and he wings it across the field. And he wins the big golden chalice, the loving cup. And then he feels bad about being the winner, and he tells them the truth. And so my little grandson says, "Yeah, because you're not supposed to lie." I go, "Well, you got the meaning of this book." And so, but the real meaning is that sometimes it's okay to throw radishes. And he laughed out loud. And so I got my little, I keep this close to my teacup in the mornings, because I'm going to show you some of these bees that I'm painting. This little Soho heavyweight paper. And I just painted this little reddish real quick. And he said, "Are you going to paint those green?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Okay, they need to be green." I said, "Thank you very much." And he said, "It's a red and a little." I'm going like, "Well, thank you very much." He's 5. And then he said, "What are you going to write on this?" And I said, "Sometimes I eat a radish. I have to eat a radish. And sometimes I simply throw them." And he left it on the table. He was supposed to take. He said, "I'm going to put that up in my room." I said, "Well, let's ask your mom if she feels good about you having a piece of art that says sometimes you need to throw a radish. But sometimes you might just need to throw a radish." And then he found a bird book, and he brought it over, and he said, "I want you to paint a bird." And he said, "I want you to paint Al." And I said, "Who's Al?" And he said, "It's a bird." And I said, "No, I went to school with a guy named Al." And so anyway, I did this little bird for him in pen, and I did it in my little preppy pen, and then I just dropped my little brush on there and let it sort of bleed together before it dries too fast on this. Some pens dry very fast on this, even fountain pens. So my point is, always think like an artist. Always push yourself to do something that you're not familiar with doing over and over and over. Please do that and watch your art improve this fall. Do that between now and Christmas and see what happens. Find something that you're just going to pour yourself into for a few weeks and go, "You know what? I can do that." And here's my motto: one person did it, another person can do it. But don't just copy them. Kind of get your own style going. This was not like the radish that Peter Rabbit threw. It's just the first radish that came to my mind. If you can't see what one does, go get some at the grocery store. Take a photo of some. But don't go painting radishes the same way that a art chef today might paint his radishes. Use it for a little bit of a lesson, and then branch off onto your own that makes yours differently. How do the roots go this way and that way? Or paint them out of your garden. Okay, so I'm going to move that little anvil, and there's my little think like an artist. I think I need a little bit of just push this little purple right up in there a little bit, and I want one more little piece of turquoise right in there that's probably going to run into the red. We'll see. I didn't put a whole lot of water in that, so I just kind of left it. And then we'll come down with a little more sharp pieces coming out like that. And I think I want one more piece of green coming off the side right there, just a little piece. I'm going to take a thinner brush, which one of my little, wet it just a tad, and bring this into a couple swips down through here, just like that. Just barely putting it in there. Okay, I'm going to live with that right there. I'm going to put the brush down and back away from the easel, except for, he says, a little flat black right in here, just right in there and there and there and there, and a touch of yellow right here in the back of this eye, just right there. I think I'm done. Okay. I love having this, and I think one of these days I'm going to surprise you, and I'm going to make a sticker out of one of these that says "Think Like an Artist." And I've had it on my mind to do several stickers, which I've never done before. I have some beautiful ones here on the wall from you guys in places. So anyway, I think I'm going to do that. So, all right. See if there's any questions today. Probably not because I'm rattling on. Q. Oh, put it in the wrong place, so I don't want to do that anyway. See if there's a question I just might have missed. Do you take a different teaching approach with the kids? Well, that's a good question. Not too much. And here's why. What a great question, Justin. Jason, what's your name? Jason, you always ask good questions. A teacher asking good questions is a very important thing. So they'll always want to tell you, kids especially will always want to tell you what they paint. And so one of the things I do is that I try to push the boundary a little bit and get them to paint something they've never painted. Now, it'll be awkward in this one because the moms and the teacher, the head of this is a homeschool network, they've decided that it's the fall season, and so they want to do a theme as fall. But I'm going to have them do a leaf just as an intro piece. And not just a leaf from memory, but I think I'm just going to have them on the way in pick up a leaf and bring a couple leaves in and have them trace the leaf. And just say, if you trace this leaf 20 times, you would probably get in your mind how to draw it. So I'm going to go that way. So teaching 4th grade and up is exactly like teaching adults in art. And that's not a reflection on either group. Here's why. If my stories and my illustrations and my style, so if you're thinking about leading a watercolor class, and you come in with a lot of facts and charts and figures. I mean, I do this show with a lot of words because you people are painters. If you all were trying to paint the first time ever, we'd be talking about how to do things more. But how to do things, watching me do it and you do it, is completely different. So my stories and my encouragement is to help you say, I could do that. I could teach another class. But here's my point. I'll get back to 4th graders and adults. If you're the best story that you can tell puts the cookie. Now, I'm not talking about treating them like they're children, nor talking to adults like, okay, class, here's what we're going to do. No, but talk to the 4th graders like you're saying, okay, hey, look, be careful with your pencil that you don't jam it through the paper. Now, if I want to take the edge off, I'll say your pencil should, skate across the ice. Like a skater skates across thin ice. You might break through any moment. And I might use Noodle Doodle Fiddle Piddle, which one of the moms bought this and says, would you talk about that book? So that's one of the things I'll do. Why are those rules but not rules? If you don't have this book, I recommend it for this. It's Noodle Doodle Fiddle, and it's just 30 of my rules, and they're not really rules, but 30 of my suggestions, but it says rules written by me, so how can I, write my own rule? But Pat Brooks did the illustration on here, and you've seen some of her work in other things. And here's the one why you leave holidays, It's and there's holiday one. There's about art being a great light. Sometimes you just have to go look at it. Carol and I have an anniversary coming up, and we were going to decide what trip to take. And last night we just said we should go back to the galleries in Washington. It's not that far from here. Let's drive in. Fly in, however, because we don't need to have a car when we're there. So we may just take a cheap flight to Washington from Charlotte and just go hang out in D.C. for 4 or 5 days and go to the galleries and just look at the beautiful art that's in our country's galleries. We need to do that again. It's been a while since we've been in D.C., probably 2017 or 18. I did a project I built for the Museum of the Bible in D.C. in their bookstore. They kept it for about 3 months and they pitched it, but I cashed their check. Okay. So I teach them the same way, cookie on the bottom shelf, but not childishly, but talk to adults like they're learning for the first time, maybe, because some will be in the audience. Talk to children like they're older than they are and respect what they know because they're pretty smart and they can figure things out. So what you don't want to do is go, okay, we're going to take the little brushy wushy and we're going to smashy weshy in the painting, and you're going like, please don't do that to me. No group wants that. Just lay it out facts and say, hey, I want you to paint something today you're proud of. What would that be? Okay, good question. What were the brushes you mentioned that are good for kids? Paula Lindy, there's a brush it's made by Creative Impressions. There's a lot of good brushes for kids. It depends on your price range. I don't know if I have one up here. That's really sad. Maybe I do. No. I'm just going to tell you that it's called Creative Impressions, I think, and it's just a little plastic handled brush. And I can't even tell you the name of this. It's made by a company that starts with a T, I think. But anyway, they're great. What we do sometimes is hang on, I'm looking. Ha! Got one, by gosh. Creative Inspirations. And Creative Inspirations. It's a round. It's a number 4 round. And this is a plastic handle. Okay? I would not want to paint with this brush all the time on my own watercolor. I just feel like it's stiff. But look how it's shaped. Because what we do sometimes, we give kids a brush out of a bag that we buy from a big box store because we only cost $2 and something. And we give them this brush, and the ends of it are spread out more than this. I don't even have any bad ones up here, but sometimes they're like your acrylic brushes. They look like they've just had a perm, and nobody gave them a brush afterwards. It's just like this. I call them the hand brush. And you go like, could you do a little detail with this? And you go, I don't think so. And they put it in, and it's like coloring with the end of a 2x4 that hadn't been pointed, you know? And this brush has a pretty decent point because what you're going to be doing is showing them how to come in on the leaf and just touch it a little bit and bring in some color. And this brush will actually do that in a limited basis. Look at that. I just did it right there with it. Look at that. It just worked perfectly. It holds enough water to get over there and do it a couple times. And so you're into it. But I think if you act, if you can't find them, let me know, and I'll have Chris here in Charlotte. But it's a plastic handle. I want you to know it's made in China. If you're offended by that, but here's the thing: you don't want to hand a kid a $30 brush when you can hand a kid a $3 brush, or right now a $1.81 brush. Okay. So write down Creative Inspirations if you want one, and tell them Ruth says hello. What about a group of seniors? I teach them the same way. 4th grader, adults, and seniors. I'm not changing my pitch to anybody. This is who I am. This is how I teach art. When I go in and I teach a bunch of middle schoolers, so this is good for you because some of you are branching out and do this. Look, some of you will probably paint this bee, but it's the first time I've ever painted one. And I don't like camouflage. I don't wear it, or camis as the Marines call it. I don't wear it. I don't hunt in it. I don't. I don't. And I always think it's funny to see a woman who's walking down the street in camouflage pants and a camouflage purse. And I want to say, you see that woman? I go, no, I didn't. It's just a funny little joke in our family is that we wear it now because it's fashion. We don't wear it because it serves a purpose. So I painted this camouflage bee just because I was holding some paint in a little pan one day. And it says, for sneaking up on flowers. And I thought, see, that makes sense, okay? And this is bee number 1837, 20 away. And here's the bee number 1839, 38 went gone already. Oh, no, there's 38. I just painted them out of order. There's 38, and he's stuck in the middle of some flowers. By the way, I think you know that I love this paper just for my doodle paper, and it frames really well. It's 4x6. When it rips off here, there's a little perforated edge here. It's a true 4x6. This is one of my favorite bees. This is a 1839 bee. That's the one you just looked at. That's not a bee, but it's a shrimp. This is a beeline fly, and he's just pencil and pen and a little bit of watercolor. And I just like him. I like doing things with pens sometimes. This is Bee About Life. This is Drone Approaching Target 1. This is Gold Rush. This is 1850. Guess what? This is 51, 52, 50. Oops, fly. 53. I think that's my last bee in here. Nope. This is a sharp bee. I painted this with a 5-point Sharpie. Sharp bee. Get it? This is 50, 53, 54, 55, 55. So I got 2 more bees before I get to 57, and these are fishing flies. And my granddaughter had a young man with her this weekend who is an avid fly fisher. I met him out in Jackson Hole. He goes to Boone. He was out there on a fishing trip. We took him to dinner one night, and I gave him a fishing fly. I paid for him at dinner. Just whipped out a quick fishing fly, and he basically said, "Oh shucks, I forgot to bring you the fly." And I said, "What fly? I gave you that fly." He said, "No, I tied the fly you gave me." And yeah, I got interested. I said, wait a minute. You tie? He said, "Oh man, that's my thing." He said, "I love to tie flies. So I tied the fly that you gave me, and I'm so excited about it. And I wanted you to have it." And I said, "No, I'm going to send you 10 flies, and you're going to tie those flies of just my made up flies, just the ones that I come up with. And then here's what's going to happen. I'm going to sell them for us, and I'm going to split the money with you for your gas travel fishing money." And he goes, "No way." And I said, "Yeah, way." And he woke up the next morning, and he came down for breakfast, and he said, "Man, I woke up so many times during the night thinking about fishing flies and of what your flies might look like that you draw, and I want to do that so badly." And so he left yesterday, and I said, "Alex, I'm going to send you those flies, pictures of those flies, and you're going to tie them for me." So I may be offering you some fun flies just that you can mount in a frame and have the drawn fly with some sketching and studio work around it, and then the real fly tied. He is an excellent fly tyer. Kid's 20 years old, and he's fished all over the country, and carries his fly rod in a carry on the top of his car, and just a cool deal. I love it when you run into people like that. What about a group of seniors? How do you keep children's focus on what they're painting? Do you try to get them all to follow you, or do you let them go reckless abandon? Yes. That's a great thing. I'm glad you guys are doing that, because here's why I'm saying this morning. Some of this will change your focus. Remember what I started with this morning? I said you need to check your community. Look, I wrote this down. John Denver songs, check your community. You might need to take what you know already and go help somebody else and see how that improves your art. You know, when you really learn is when you teach. And so I would not have progressed with my art very far at all had I not done this show and you guys be the guinea pigs or the friends who showed up to support me and ask questions. No, I wouldn't have. So when I teach, I learn so much because I push myself to get ahead of the class, but also discover, and I'm not worried about failure. And so here's the thing. I don't force them to go, "Oh no, you have to do a bee like this." I say to them, for heaven's sakes, we need to learn to draw things that are already out there for us. What are those things? And they say, "A bee." They go, "Well, I don't know what a bee looks like," so they'll all draw bees just like this. Okay, and they're done. And then they go, "Oh no, they have little stripes on them." You go, "Okay, yeah, I recognize it as a bee. You just did a bean on a bean, right? Here's a bean, and there's this little antenna." So I'm saying, no. And I've done this with you guys. No, what's the bee's behind look like? And I can say that to a bunch of kids. What's a bee's behind look like? Well, it looks like a Christmas tree light bulb. Oh, yeah, it does. And then it looks like a little bit of a flower here, just crushed a little bit. Maybe having a little bit around here with just whoa. And then I just do a coffee bean on top of it with a couple little bumps on it. And then I suddenly come in here and get the hinged wings, and I come out like this. And then this wing goes back to there, and this one goes back to there. And then there's another one underneath. They have 4 wings. And then I do the legs. And then now those are the parts. Here it is on a big piece of paper. See if you can follow it. Have at it. And then I walk around the room and go, "Ooh, look at that. Look at that." And then they'll go, "Yeah, I drew this. Is that a light bulb?" Well, that's a light bulb, but is it a Christmas light bulb? No. You know, Christmas light bulbs are shaped kind of like this. And so you go, "Well, let's don't make it so sharp that it looks like a yellow jacket." And so I do that, and I do it in an encouraging fashion. So I hope that helps. All right, let me go back to here. All right, it's about time for me to quit and get out of here anyway, because I've talked the whole morning. But I'm going to finish this fishing fly just for a second. Yep, I've taught kids, adults, and seniors. They're all fun. Sharp B, you got it. You are lovely. I'm not sure what that means, but we don't wear camo because we want to be seen. That's right. I talked to a group of seniors. They need a lot of encouragement to start. Once they get started, they won't want to stop. Yes, and they shouldn't even make those hand brushes. They are junk and set up in a landfill. You are so right about that. I'm not sure why. If I could say I have a rule, it's don't buy that little bag of big box brushes for $2.98 that have 5 brushes in it. That be creative today. No, they're not good for anything. Spend money, and not lots and lots of money, but spend money on decent brushes, people. Okay. These are pseudo-sable. They cost a whole lot more than my American Journey. And by the way, I've painted with these, and I still do. You just saw me use 2 of them this morning. I love these brushes. Find somebody who has a good brush. I don't care the company you use. You know why I help Cheap Joe's, and Cheap Joe's helps me. And so the point is, I love his brushes, and I've been using them, and I'm used to them. I know how much water they hold. It's just like when I finally discovered about my whole story in bamboo brushes, which are hanging up here in front of me right there. Boom. Okay. And that's how I store my bamboo brushes. I'll keep a couple in there, but I hang them on this little rod, and they're hung on a little piece on the wall, and I slide them out. And when Yasutoma sent me those, I loved them better than the 3 other companies that I'd use brushes for. They're made better. The glue is good. They're loose. The goat hair is excellent. I really do love them. And so that's kind of why I do those. So, all right, I'll finish this fishing fly, and I'll put some colors in there, and just doing this whole thing with I think I was using this pen, but I changed it. So I might put a little house cat feather up here, just like this. I call it the Adam's house cat. Cats don't have feathers, but they do sometimes between their feet. All right, so there it is right there. All right. Hey, thank you for being a part of this show. Thank you for encouraging me. Thank you for encouraging others when you go out and teach art and talk about art and share your art. And I'm still giving away 2 or 3 little paintings a day. Wherever I go, somebody gets one. And I don't see that as a waste of time, a waste of money, a waste of anything. I see that as an opportunity to make somebody's day feel kind of special and make them feel special. I painted for a little place. Harriet's Hamburgers is in a new little place that opened here, and I thought, I haven't tried it. Last week for lunch, Carol was in the middle of a meeting, and I took my journal and 2 client calls that I was working on, and some other things for projects, and I went down there, and then I just started sketching while I was eating, and he came out and he said, I don't understand how you're doing this. And I said, why not? He said, no, it doesn't make sense how you can do this. And I said, I don't understand what you're saying. I said, I have watercolor here. And he goes, so I painted a rooster standing on a hamburger, and I gave it to him, and I wrote on there, I have an Aunt Harriet, but she never made a burger like this. And he goes, I'm going to frame it and put it in the store. I said, well, it's yours. You can do whatever you want to do with it. I'm flattered, but that's not what I painted it for. I painted it for you just because you and I had a conversation about hamburgers and food and life and kids. And so they just respond differently. He came back out as I was walking off and shook my hand again. I said, dude, I'll be back. And so that's what art should do. It should connect you in a great way to people. All right. Blessings. I'm out of here like a herd of turtles. And see you next time. Hey, and I did find one more stick, so I'm going to whittle another rooster. Yeehaw!